Welcome, Sipanna ma'am. Sipanna, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Today we have a session now. Dr. Sipanna ma'am will take this session as she has already taken one class yesterday. I know her very well. So she is going to give a talk on text summarization. So after
Yes.
Sipanna ma'am class, we have Hanson in the third session of the same of the this text summarization. So, ma'am, now session, all the session,
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Sure.
sharing the giving the permission.
You please enable me the share screen.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Now you
Yeah.
can. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So good morning to all of you. So my screens are visible.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Visible.
Yeah. My screens and I am audible, not fully audible.
Yes, fully visible.
Okay. Okay. Good. So then let us start. So as I already mentioned that today's talk is mostly on the summarization techniques. And after this, my student, my PhD student, Dr. Now he also got the PhD degree. So Dr. Nabin Saini will also present. Will also give you a demo hands-on on the summarization techniques. So he will show you how to implement the summarization techniques, some data sets and results. So but in this talk, I will cover the theory of the summarization technique. So basically, we will be discussing about some unsupervised techniques. So now to that what is the difference between supervised techniques and the unsupervised techniques. Supervised techniques mostly rely on the class levels. So without class levels, you cannot build any classifier. But unsupervised techniques are clustering techniques. They mostly rely on the similarity of the points, and based on the similarity or the distance between the points, the clustering, the unsupervised techniques can be developed. So basically, let us now discuss more in detail. So what we will be doing, we will basically formulate the summarization problem as a multi-objective optimization problem. Okay, so I need to first introduce the term multi-objective optimization. So suppose you want to purchase a car. So there are many objective functions. So one objective function could be the cost. So if you are only optimizing the cost, then this type of problems are called single objective optimization problems. But if you have multiple objectives, like you have the cost and the comfort both, like you want to maximize comfort, you want to minimize cost. And you know that these two objective functions are conflicting in nature. So if you want to minimize cost, comfort will also be minimized. And if you want to maximize comfort, cost will also go high. So cost and comfort are two conflicting objective functions. So in real life problems, where you need to optimize more than one conflicting objective functions, those problems are called multi-objective optimization problems. So there are many examples of multi-objective optimization problems in our day-to-day life. Whenever suppose you want to go from one place to another place, there are two considerations: time and cost. This time and cost are again conflicting in nature. So if you want to minimize time, then cost will go high. If you want to minimize cost, time will go high. So time and cost are conflicting in nature. So there are many real life examples of multi-objective optimization problems in our day-to-day life. So now in general in multi-objective optimization, as we optimize conflicting objective functions, so it is not possible to get a single solution where both the objectives have attained their optimized value. So it is not possible to get a single solution where all the objective functions are optimized. So rather, we basically we get a set of solutions, which is called the Pareto optimal solution. And on this Pareto optimal solutions, basically this Pareto optimal solution is consisting of some non-dominated solutions, and we will soon see the definition of the non-domination. So multiple objective functions are simultaneously optimized, and as a result of that, we get a set of solutions on the optimal surface. And all the solutions are non-dominated to each other. And now user has the flexibility. So we will be giving user a set of solutions. So basically now the user has the flexibility of selecting a single solution from the final optimal surface. So this is the formal definition of multi-objective optimization. We have to find some set of decision variables X, where we are simultaneously optimizing some objective functions. So there are capital M number of objective functions which we are simultaneously optimizing, and we are satisfying some constants. So we are satisfying some constants like inequality constants and equality constants, and simultaneously optimizing M objective functions, and these objective functions are mostly conflicting in nature. So as a result of this, we get a set of non-dominated solutions on the optimal surface, and all the solutions are non-dominated, and user is having the flexibility in selecting a single solution from this final optimal curve. So this is an example of optimal surface. There are two objectives, F1 and F2, and we want to maximize both the objectives. Now, if you compare solution 1 and solution 2, so solution 1 is better than solution 2 with respect to F2, but solution 2 is better than solution 1 with respect to F1. So we can't say the solution 1 dominates solution 2, because in one objective function, it is better than solution 2, but in another objective function in F1, it is worse than solution 2. So these two solutions are called non-dominated solutions. They basically they are non-dominated to each other. And the set of all the non-dominated solutions is basically called the optimal surface. And now if you compare solution 5 and solution 2, so you can compare both the objective functional values. In both objective functional values, solution 2 is having the higher objective functional values compared to solution 5. So with respect to F1 and F2, in both the objective functional values, solution 2 is better than solution 5. So here we can say solution 2 dominates solution 5. But solution 5 and solution 1, if you compare, solution 1 is better with respect to F2, but solution 5 is better with respect to F1. So we can't say the solution 1 dominates solution 5 or solution 5 dominates solution 1. So these two solutions are called non-dominating solutions. So basically, you know that this is the thing that all the non-dominated solutions are basically on the optimal surface. And finally, our aim is to find out this optimal surface. Now, what is summarization? Summarization is the task of automatically creating a compressed version of the text document. Suppose you have a set of documents. Suppose there is a query, like you are querying about the Taj Mahal in the Google, and Google will retrieve a set of documents. So can we get a summarized version of the documents? So basically, either we need to generate summary from a set of documents. It could be multiple documents or a single document, or it could be a set of tweets. And from the set of tweets, we need to basically, we need to create the summary. Or it could be a set of web pages. From the set of web pages also, we can create the summary. So basically, task of automatically creating a compressed version of the text document that should be concise, relevant, non-redundant, and representative of the main idea of the text. So these are the characteristics of the summarization. So summary is basically compressed, concise, relevant, non-redundant, and representative of the main idea of the text. So a text that is produced from one or more texts that convey the important information in the original text, and that is no longer than half of the original text, and usually significantly less than that. So summary is basically produced from one or more texts and that conveys important information in the original text, and that is no longer than half of the original text and usually significantly less than that. So summarization, you know, it is important because internet is now flooded with enough information and no one is having time to go through all the information. So rather, basically we can somehow create a summary and then we can get the information from the summary. So internet has provided large collections of text on a varieties of topics, and nobody is basically having time to go through all the topics. So large number of electronic documents are available online. So users do not get time to read this large amount of documents. Users face difficulty in finding relevant information. So what is the solution is to develop some automatic text summarization systems that can compress information into shorter length, that must follow coverage of information, non-redundancy, information significance, and cohesion. So you can understand that in summarization, there are many conflicting objective functions. And these objective functions need to be simultaneously optimized. So what are these objective functions? So the selected sentence. So out of the multiple sentences, you need to select a few sentences which should be in the summary. So these sentences should somehow cover the entire theme. So whatever information is covered in the text, that should be covered in the summary. Then second is basically the coherence. The summary, the sentences in the summary should not be unrelated. Like when you will be reading the summary, you should feel like that readability factor is high, or you should feel like that somehow summaries are connected. Then in non-redundance, so you should not repeat the same sentence multiple times. So if multiple sentences convey the same information, then only one sentence must be present in the summary, not the multiple sentences. So there are many objective functions. Coverage should be maximum, redundancy should be minimum, information significance should be maximum, cohesion should be maximum. So all these objective functions are required to be optimized simultaneously, using the simultaneously in a summarization system. So summarization basically helps us in different ways. So it saves some time. Now we do not need to go through the all the documents. Rather, we can simply read the summary and can get the information about the particular document. It basically compresses the large information. It helps in compressing the large information. It helps in active reading. So now, you know, summarization, summary, it basically helps in active reading. It is easy to implement. It helps in decision making because now you got the summary of the whole summary of the document. So basically it helps in decision making. It highlights the central theme. So basically there are many advantages of the summarization. It saves time. It compresses the large information. It helps in active reading. It is easy to implement. It helps in decision making. It highlights the central theme. It saves time. There are two types of summarization techniques, extractive and the abstractive. So extractive means we are not modifying the original set of sentences. We are simply selecting a set of sentences to form the summary. So suppose your original document contains 100 sentences. Now out of these 100 sentences, we can select only 10 sentences, and these 10 sentences can form the summary. So this is example of extractive summarization, that your document is initially having 4 sentences. Now somehow by careful observation, you are selecting only 2 sentences to form the summary. So the relevance of sentences is decided using sentence scoring features like sentence position, similarity with the title, etc. So how to determine the relevance of a sentence? The relevance of a sentence is decided using sentence scoring features like sentence position, similarity with the title, because you know the initial sentences are more important for a particular document. And then similarity with the title should also be maximized. So basically there are many objective functions, like sentence position has to be maximized, similarity with the title has to be maximized, and accordingly we can select few sentences to form the summary. Now abstract summary, abstractive summary is just the opposite. So abstractive summary is not only selecting the original set of sentences, but also to make some changes in the original set of sentences. So suppose your original text is having 4 sentences. Now your abstractive summarization selects a few sentences and then somehow they rephrases the sentences to form the summary. It basically rephrases the sentences. So it rephrases the sentences to form the summary. So basically this is the abstractive summarization. So it requires the natural language generation or the paraphrasing. So basically it could be like that first you have to select few sentences which are important for the document, and then those sentences could be paraphrased, or you can somehow keeping the same meaning intact, you can basically somehow modify the sentences to generate new sentences. And this is basically called natural language generation or the paraphrasing. And these new sentences basically form the abstractive summary. So this is an example of extractive and the abstractive summarization. So you can see that in extractive summarization, we are simply selecting sentences from the original document. So we are not reproducing new sentences, but we are simply selecting sentences from the original document. And in case of abstractive summarization, we are somehow keeping the meaning intact. We are regenerating the new sentences. Like here you can see English is the first line is copied as it is. So the first line is copied in the sentence. Then this the main goal of the research. This line is copied from here. Then we also, this is the third line. So this way basically you can see that we are copying the sentences from the original document. But in case of abstractive, the sentence was not present as it is in the text, but we have basically generated the new sentence by using the paraphrasing or the natural language generation. So summarization, there are many applications of summarization. So like I mentioned, query-based summarization. So suppose you are given a query Taj Mahal and Google has retrieved many documents. So nobody is having time to go through all the documents which contain information about Taj Mahal. Rather, can we apply summarization technique to generate a summary of Taj Mahal? So this is called the query focused summarization. Summarization of documents given a query. Then if you are applying summarization on a single document, then this is called the single document summarization. If you are applying summarization on multiple documents, then that is called the multi-document summarization. Sometimes it is very difficult to interpret the figures. So what is the meaning of a figure? It is very difficult to understand from the figure itself, because the figure caption may not be so descriptive. So can we generate the summary of a figure? So figure must be referred in the text, and in the text there must be some sentences describing the figures. So can we generate a summary considering those sentences for a particular figure? That is called the figurative summarization. Web-based summarization, like if there are many web pages and you want to generate a summary of the web pages, then this is called the summarization of the web pages. Similarly, we used to receive several emails per day, and in many cases we do not have time to go through all the emails. So in that case, we can generate email summarization for the emails. Personalized information specific to a user's. So personal summarization specific to a user's need is basically called a personalized summarization. So a person may like many things. So can we generate summary of those likings? Then in some cases, sentiment-based summarization is also important. So user sentiment is also taken into account while generating the summary. And then sometimes we can summarize a set of tweets. So that is called the microblog summarization. We can summarize a set of tweets, which is called the microblog summarization. So there are different quality measures for summarization. As I mentioned, the diversity of the summary should be increased. Like sentences which are in the present in the summary, they should talk about different topics or different events. So basically, the anti-redundancy, the sentences should not be related in the summary. If there are two related sentences, if they convey the same meaning, then one can be easily discarded. So anti-redundancy has to be maximized and diversity has to be maximized. Position of the sentence in the document, so that has to be maximized. So you know that the document may have multiple sentences, and basically we need to somehow increase the position of the sentence in the document. We have to see that sentences which are in the initial part of the document should be given more preference. So because initial sentences are having more importance than the lateral sentences. In general, sentences which are lengthy, they convey more information than the short sentences. So basically, we need to increase the length of the sentence. Coverage, as I mentioned, that the sentences should be selected in such a way that they cover the entire theme of the document. So the document is having multiple sentences and document is having a theme. All the information preserved in the document should be somehow covered with the set of sentences selected. Now, readability is another factor that you cannot only keep all disjoint sentences in the summary. So the readability when the users read the summary, the readability factor should be high, or the cohesion should be improved. So basically, somehow the sentences should be related, because otherwise, if they will be disjoint, then the readability would be low. Then sentence similarity with the title. So sentences which must be very much similar with respect to the title, because title is a kind of a very abstract kind of summary of the document. So if the selected sentences are somehow similar to the title, then that means they convey important information. So you understand that if you want to increase the readability, then anti-redundancy will also, diversity will be decreased. Because in readability, you want to keep the related sentences. But diversity means you have to keep the disjoint sentences. So many factors like diversity, readability, cohesion, these are all conflicting objective functions. So in order to simultaneously optimize these conflicting objective functions, we need the support of multi-objective optimization. So basically, we know that is the main motto, that we want to simultaneously optimize multiple conflicting objective functions. That's why we formulated this problem as a multi-objective optimization problem. So there are different other types of summarization. So summary with respect to a query is basically called the query focus summarization. As I mentioned that you are suppose searching with the word India, and you are getting many web snippets, many web pages. Now, if you can get the summary of the all web pages, then that is called the query focus summarization. But if your summary is very generic, like there is, it's not a query focused, then that is called the generic summarization. Then supervised and unsupervised. So if your summarization requires a label data, then that is called the supervised summarization. And if your summarization doesn't require the label data, and it is only requiring the only some amount of data, then this is called the unsupervised summarization. Then mono, multi, and cross-lingual summarization. So if the summarization is only from a single language, then this is called the monolingual summarization. If the summarization is from the multiple languages, then this is called the multilingual summarization. And cross-lingual means if the document is present in multiple documents, multiple languages. So the same document is having multiple languages. So then it is called the cross-lingual summarization. Summarization of the web pages is called the web-based summarization. Summarization of the emails is called the email summarization. So because we often receive many emails and it is not possible to go through all the emails. So can we generate a summary of all the emails? Then summarization information specific to a user's need is basically called the personalized summarization. And during summarization,
Ma'am, you are not audible.
so if, during the summarization, you are also considering the opinions. Is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So if during the summarization, we are also considering the opinions, then this is called the sentiment-based summarization. So what we did a thorough literature survey. So first, in order to start a new work, you do a thorough literature survey. You have to read all the existing papers. So we basically read almost all the existing papers. So these are the different techniques that are basically used: AMS, single document summarization, D, QAC, SBM, unified rank, FEOM, manifold ranking. So these are the different summarization techniques. And we basically read all the summarization techniques. And then what we found is that several extractive summarization, single document extractive summarization algorithms are already available in the literature. And they mostly utilize the search capabilities of some meta-heuristic search techniques like genetic algorithm, differential evolution, particle optimization, etc. And they have shown good results. But there are very few techniques where researchers where multiple objective functions are simultaneously optimized. So in most of the existing techniques, they used to optimize only a single objective function. But there in summarization, as we have seen, there are many conflicting objective functions. But these conflicting objective functions are not simultaneously optimized by the existing techniques. And also the existing techniques is having a problem. Like, when we are generating the class summary, the first task is to generate the sentence clusters. Sentences which are somehow related to each other, they form different clusters. So now how many such clusters are there? So it is very difficult to determine the value of number of clusters. So the existing techniques are basically unable to determine the value of number of clusters. None of the existing ESDS techniques captures the semantic similarity present in the sentences. So they also, usually capture the similarity in the syntactic space. Like TF-IDF based representations are used, and then the similarity is basically measured in the syntactic space. There are very few works where similarity is measured in the semantic space. And these algorithms, the existing algorithms, suffer from low convergence rate and rule score. So that's why, motivated by this, we have basically formulated the cluster summarization problem as a multi-objective optimization problem. Because most of the existing techniques are single objective optimization based. So they basically optimize only a single cluster, single summary quality to obtain the summary. So solution to drawbacks. So basically we need to develop an automatic text summarization system using multi-objective optimization. Here our task is twofold. First, we need to create sentence clusters. So sentences should be clustered into different groups based on their similarities or the dissimilarities. And once the clustering is formed, from each cluster we can select few sentences to form the summary. So the first is the sentence cluster formation. So for each cluster, we have to generate the we have to generate the apply the clustering to generate the sentence clusters. And after that, once the sentence clusters are formed, we have to rank the clusters based on their importance. And finally, from each cluster, few sentences should be selected to generate the summary. So basically, there are two stages. So how many sentence clusters should be there? So this is a decision problem. And here in our case, we have automatically determined the number of clusters. And then when we are, suppose you form the sentence clusters, now you have to somehow assign ranks to the cluster, to the sentences which are in a particular cluster. And then we have to assign the, so based for the assignment of the rank, for the ranking purpose, we have used different sentence coding features. So we have used different sentence coding features to rank the sentences which are in different clusters. And we are able to achieve better root score in comparison to state-of-the-art techniques. So multi-objective clustering. So this is our task. So we have formulated the summarization problem. And in a multi-stage, you will basically solve the summarization problem in multiple steps. First, we form the sentence clusters. So for forming the sentence clusters, we have utilized a multi-objective clustering technique. So sentence clusters means sentences which are similar in nature. They should be in a particular group. So you need to generate the groups from the sentences, and so that the sentences which are in a particular group should be similar in nature. So first we have to form the sentence clusters. Then we have to somehow rank the clusters based on their importance. So for that we determine the representative point of the document. And then we see which cluster is the nearest to the representative point of the document. And accordingly, we basically rank the clusters. So after that, the sentences which are in a particular cluster are ranked. For that, we have used different sentence coding features. And once the ranking is done, we consider the clusters in a rank-wise manner. And we consider the sentences in a cluster in a rank-wise manner. So we extract sentences from top rank clusters using some sentence coding features until we get desirable length of summary. So for clustering purpose, multiple cluster quality measures are optimized simultaneously. So multiple cluster quality measures capturing different data properties are required to be optimized simultaneously for the clustering purpose. So when we generate the sentence clusters, we simultaneously optimize multiple cluster quality measures. And the problem of sentence clustering is framed as a multi-object optimization based clustering problem, where sentence clusters are identified in an automatic way. There are many examples of the multi-objective clustering techniques, and we have used those multi-objective clustering techniques for generating the sentence clusters. So now here in the process, we have used some new concepts. One such concept is basically self-organizing map-based genetic operators. So you know that genetic algorithm or the differential evolution is a meta-heuristic search technique. So these techniques basically they generate, they maintain a population of solutions, and then they use to generate new solutions by applying genetic operators. So basically, for the genetic operators, we have used the self-organizing map. So self-organizing map is an unsupervised neural network. So here no level data is required. This is an unsupervised neural network. There are two layers, input and the output. So input contains high dimensional inputs. So like x1, x2 up to xn. So these are the high dimensional input points. And the output is a 2D grid. Output is simply a 2D grid. So inputs are in the output, there are many neurons. So each neuron is having a position vector and a weight vector. So these weight vectors or the position vectors are randomly initialized. Now each input sample is assigned to a particular neuron in the output grid. So we have to calculate the equivalent distance between the input and the weight values of the neuron, and then the point will be assigned to the minimum distance neuron. And basically, you know, this is the associated with each node is a weight vector of the same dimension as the input data vectors and the position in the map space. Arrangement of nodes is two-dimensional regular spacing in a hexagonal or rectangular grid. We map two-dimensional data to lower dimensional, usually 2D in a topographic order. We make use of unsupervised training and does not include any hidden layer. So basically, this is an unsupervised training. We simply map the input samples into the output space, and there is no label data is not used, and there is no hidden layers involved. And then when suppose you are assigning a particular point to a particular neuron, we are not only updating the weight values of that particular neuron, but we are also updating the weight values of the neighboring neuron. So the winner neuron, not only the winner neuron's weight values are updated, but the winner neurons is having a neighborhood. All the neurons in the neighborhood are also updated based on the weight values of the input point. This self-organizing map is used for data visualization because now it is an output is a 2D grid. So easily we can visualize the data points because data points will be mapped to some neurons. So we will be able to plot the neurons. This is also a feature extraction technique because we are now reducing the dimensions. We are mapping the higher dimensional input to a lower dimensional output. So we initialize the learning rate, neighborhood size, maximum iteration count. Initialize each map unit by assigning a weight vector randomly chosen from the training data. So we first adjust the learning rate. So learning rate is initially started with a high value. We gradually increase the learning rate. We randomly select a particular training sample. Then we find out the winning map. The winning map is the neuron which is having the minimum Euclidean distance with respect to the input sample. Then we find out the neighboring neurons, and we update all the neighboring neurons. We not only update the winning neuron, but we update all the neighboring neurons. And the weight vectors corresponding to map units. So this way, basically here you can see that these are the input points. These are assigned to this particular neuron. So when we are updating the winning neuron, we are not only updating the winning neuron, but also the neighborhood. And then we update the weight vectors of winning neuron and the neighborhood neuron. Now, Ward-Boover distance. So there is another concept that was used in our multivariate clustering technique, which is called the Ward-Boover distance. So amount of distance that the embedded words of one text needs to traverse to reach the embedded words of another text. So basically you can see that suppose there are two sentences. Obama speaks to the media in Illinois and the president greets the press in Chicago. So now in the semantic space, you can see the mapping. So Obama maps to president, greets map to speaks, Chicago maps to Illinois, and press maps to media. So there is this mapping in the semantic space. And then we can find out the summation of the distances. So distance between Obama and president, plus distance between greets and speaks, plus distance between Chicago and Illinois, plus distance between press and media. So this summation of all the four distances is basically the Ward-Boover distance between these two sentences. So if two sentences are similar, then the Ward-Boover distance will be 0. Now, what is the nature-inspired algorithm? So, you know, meta-heuristic optimization meta-heuristic techniques solve some complex problems in reasonable time. and they produce near optimal solutions in reasonable amount of time. So evolutionary algorithms are basically mimicking our natural evolution process. There are two types of evolutionary algorithms: genetic algorithm and the differential evolution. And swarm optimization techniques basically mimic the swarm's behavior, the particles' behavior. There are some examples of swarm optimization techniques like particle swarm optimization, Gray-Wolf optimization, water cycle algorithm, etc. So these evolutionary algorithms are inspired by the biological phenomena. So here a solution is basically called an individual. Representation of a solution is called a chromosome. Components of a solution are called the genes. Set of solutions is called the population. And the survival of the fittest. So only the best solutions will be survived for the next generation. So this theory is basically called the Darwin's theory. There are some operators, search operators, which are called the crossover and the mutation. And iterative procedure is called the generation. So basically, initially it starts with a random set of solutions. This random set of solutions is basically called the population. So population is having multiple chromosomes inside. So chromosomes are having multiple components. So those are called the genes. Now some chromosomes are selected and some operators are applied on the chromosomes. Like crossover and mutation operators are applied on the chromosomes to generate new solutions. And then, this process is repeated multiple times, and each iteration is called a generation. And this process is repeated for maximum number of generations. So basically, our aim is to find paradoxical front in a single run and find a set of solutions as diverse as possible. So we start with the initial population. The population is.
Ma'am, voice is very slow.
So the population is consisting of multiple. Is it now clear?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's okay.
So the population is consisting of multiple chromosomes. So all the chromosomes are randomly initialized. Then we compute the fitness value of the individual chromosomes. So there are multiple chromosomes. Each chromosome is having its own fitness value. So we compute the fitness function for individual chromosomes. Then we check whether the generation reaches the G max or not. If generation doesn't reach the G max, then we continue. We generate new solutions by applying some operators. So there are two types of operators, crossover and the mutation. So we apply these operators to generate the new solutions. And then we compute the fitness functions. The fitness function is calculated for the new solutions. And we update the population. So this is a loop. You can see this is a loop, new solution generation, fitness evaluation of the population. This continues for a loop, and this is continues for a maximum number of generations. Now, differential evolution is a type of evolutionary algorithm. Differential evolution is an optimization algorithm, is an instance of an evolutionary algorithm. It involves maintaining a population of candidate solutions. Two operators are applied on the set of solutions called the crossover and mutation. Crossover, mutation, and selection take over a number of iterations. And basically, finally, we get a set of solutions on the final paradoxical front. So this figure shows the flow of single objective D. In case of multi-objective optimization, two or more objectives will be considered. So you can see that we select some target vector. Then we randomly select two population members. We build a weighted difference vector. We add a randomly chosen. We add a third randomly chosen vector. We do crossover with target vector to get trial vector, and the smaller cost value survives for the next generation. So basically, first you have to select a single solution. Then for applying the crossover and mutation, you have to select few solutions on the population, and then we have to take the weighted difference, and also we have to apply some operators like crossover and mutation to generate new solutions. So we have formulated this extractive single document summarization problem as a sentence clustering problem using multi-objective optimization approach. So there are two qualities of sentence clusters are measured using two cluster validity indices, which are called the PBM index and the Xibeny index. So in case of summarization, the problem of sentence clustering is formulated. So basically what we are doing, we have a set of sentences. Now we first generate the clusters of the set of sentences. So there will be some number of clusters, and cluster should be, union of all the clusters should be equal to n, and their intersection should be disjoint, and several cluster validity indices should be optimized simultaneously. So basically, first step is to generate the sentence clusters. So sentence clusters are generated in such a way that we generate the non-overlapping sentence clusters, and some cluster validity indices are simultaneously optimized. So what we have done, so as the underlying optimization technique, we have used different multi-objective optimization techniques. So one is the self-organized multi-objective differential evolution based sentence clustering technique. Second is the multi-objective water cycle algorithm, and third is the multi-objective Gray-Wolf optimizer. So three algorithms are used for the summarization task. So one is the differential evolution, multi-objective differential evolution. Second is the multi-objective water cycle algorithm, and third is the multi-objective Gray-Wolf optimizer. So differential evolution, water cycle algorithm, and Gray-Wolf optimizer are the optimization algorithms. The developed algorithms for summarization correspond to these techniques are called ESDS, ACE-mode, ESDS. So there are basically three different techniques to optimize the multiple cluster quality measures. So what are the key points of our proposed approach? So we have used a semantic-based schema. So now we are using, we are representing the sentences in the semantic space. So we have used the globe vector. Or a globe vector is a kind of semantic representation schema. So we have used a there is some sound coming, so I request all the participants to mute.
Yes, ma'am, I'm muted.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. So basically, in order to represent the sentence in the form of a vector, we have used the semantic-based schema. We have used the semantic-based schema. So here we are representing the sentence in the semantic space. So like, globe, what to take, but these are popularly used semantic representation techniques. So they basically consider a sentence and then generate their semantic representations. So in our case, we have used the globe embedding to represent the sentence in the form of a vector. And then to calculate the semantic similarity, to properly calculate the similarity or dissimilarity between two sentences, word mover distance is basically used. So word mover distance is a semantic similarity measure. So we use the word to get to first get the semantic embedding of the sentences, and then we have calculated the word mover distance to find out the distance between the semantic embeddings. A multi-objective clustering technique is developed to cluster the sentences present in the document. Two well-known cluster validity indices, PBM index and Xibeny index, are optimized simultaneously using the multi-objective optimization technique. And our approach is capable of automatically determining the number of sentence clusters. So as I mentioned at the very beginning, we have to generate the sentence clusters. and how many clusters should be there. So that is a question, that is a decision problem. So in our case, we have automatically determined the value of number of clusters. And we make use of several sentence coding features to select some informative sentences from each cluster. So as I mentioned that after generating the sentence clusters, we have ranked them. And now from each cluster, we selected the important sentences. And for the ranking of the sentences, we have used several sentence coding features like position of the sentence, the similarity of the sentence with the title. So there are several such sentence coding features, and based on which we basically rank the sentences in clusters. So this is our proposed approach. We use as a differential evaluation as the underlying optimization technique. So first we take a single document, we pre-process the document, we remove the stop words, we only keep the sentences. Then population initialization is done. Now generation is less than G max. SOM training is performed. So SOM training is performed. We use the SOM based genetic operators. So self-organizing map is used. Is basically we use this for the trading purpose. We developed a self-organizing map, and then a self-organizing map is used for generating the matching pool. So when we are applying crossover mutation, we not only select the solutions from the whole population, but we select the solutions from the matching pool. And matching pool is basically the neighborhood. So given a solution, the neighborhood basically constitutes the matching pool. So we apply genetic operators to form new population P dash. We merge P and P dash, and then we select the P number of solutions. We update the SOM training data. We obtain set of paratoptimal solutions. And finally, we generate summary and choose the best one. So basically, this is the flowchart of the overall flow of our proposed approach. So you can see there is a loop. The SOM training, application of the genetic operators, merging of P and P dash, selection of the P solutions, updation of the SOM training. So this is a loop. So this will continue for generation for a large number of generations. Now population is basically comprising of a set of solutions. So here we have used the center-based encoding. So we assume that cluster centers of each sentence clusters are basically somehow stored in the chromosome. So each solution has varied number of cluster centers. So that way we determine automatically the number of clusters. So basically, number of clusters is taken a value between 1 to n, where n is the number of sentences. So we randomly select a value between 1 to n, and those many centers are randomly selected from the sentences of the document, and those sentences are used as the cluster centers. And those sentences they are embedding, they are basically numbers and encoded in the chromosome. So basically here we have used a center-based encoding, and the chromosome lengths vary over a length. So chromosomes basically their lengths vary over the range 1 to n, where n is the total number of sentences in the document. Now for the genetic operators, there are 3 steps: matching pool construction, crossover, and the mutation. So in the first stage, we basically generated a self-organizing map. So self-organizing map is trained, and we basically generate the matching pool with the help of the self-organizing map. So self-organizing map is trained, and then we find out the neighborhood of individual solutions. So this neighborhood basically is called the matching pool. So given the current solution, we can find out the neighborhood using the self-organizing map, and this neighborhood is basically called the matching pool. So matching pool is constructed after considering the neighborhood solutions of the current solution retrieved using self-organizing map. Only neighboring solutions can match to generate new solutions. So only neighboring solutions can match to generate new solutions. So then after we generated the matching pool, some solutions are selected randomly from the matching pool. Like we randomly select two solutions from the matching pool, and then we apply this operation that if the a random number is generated and CR is a parameter value of the differential evolution. So if the random number is less than equal to CR, then YI dash equal to XI current plus F into XI1 minus XI2. Otherwise, YI equal to XI current. So this way we apply some operations. XI1 and XI2 are two randomly selected solutions from the matching pool. And CR is called the crossover probability. So this is a parameter which has to be supplied by the user. And now if after generating the new solution, if it crosses the boundary, then we need to repair the solution. So this is the repairing step. So we check whether it crosses the lower limit or the upper limit. Accordingly, we repair the solution. We have used three different types of mutation operations. So mutations are some small perturbations. They basically change the solutions. So we basically use three different types of mutation operations. One is the polynomial mutation. So in the polynomial mutation, suppose we have a set of centers. So this set of centers are modified by small value using polynomial mutation. So using polynomial mutation, we make some changes in the cluster centers. Then second is the insert mutation. So a new cluster can be added in the solution by using the insert mutation operation. And delete mutation, existing center could be deleted from the solution by using the delete mutation operation. So there are three types of mutation operations. One is the normal mutation, which is called the polynomial mutation. Second is the insert mutation. Third is the delete mutation. After these genetic operators, we obtain a set of solutions on the final paratoptimal front. Now this final paratoptimal front is merged with the old population. So old population is denoted by P and the new population is denoted by P dash. So P and P dash are merged together. And then we apply the non-dominated sorting and the crowding distance on this combined population. So new generated main solutions from a new population which are combined with old population containing n solutions. Non-dominated sorting and crowding distance operator of NSDA2 algorithm are applied to select the top n solutions. So basically top n solutions are applied to select the base solutions. So non-dominated sorting is basically sorting of the solutions in different paratoptimal surface. So you can understand if there are two objective functions, f1 and f2, both are of maximization type, then A and B are the base solution. So this AB basically form the paratoptimal surface 1. So they are called the rank 1 solutions. Then CD are called the rank 2 solutions, and they basically form the paratoptimal surface 2. And EF are basically the rank 3 solutions. They basically form the paratoptimal surface 3. So this way we basically divide the solutions into different paratoptimal curves. Now you know now how to generate the summary. So once we get the sentence clusters, as I mentioned, the next step is to rank the clusters. So first we generate the sentence clusters. Now in this next step, we have to rank the clusters. In order to rank the clusters, what we did, we find out the distance of the cluster center from the document center. So first, by using this formula, we find out the document center. So a particular the sentence is called the document center, whose average distance to all the other points is the minimum. So this is the DST WMD. So SI is a particular point, particular sentence, whose average distance to all the other points is the minimum. So this is called the document center. Now once the document center is formed, we used to calculate the distance from the basically we used to calculate the distance from the documents from the basically from the cluster sentence clusters and the document center. So basically, we have to find out the distance from the sentence clusters and the document center, and the clusters which are near to the document center are assigned more ranks. So basically, that way we basically rank the clusters. So then clusters present in the ith solution are ranked. The WMD of each cluster center present in the ith solution to document center is calculated as follows. And then finally, clusters are ranked in descending order based on this ZK scores. And after that, now each cluster is having multiple sentences. So we need to rank the sentences which are present in a particular cluster. So for that, we have used different factors. So one is the length of the sentence. So we want to increase the length of the sentence. So it is maximized. Position of the sentence in the document is also maximized because our assumption is that initial sentences are more important for the summary, not the last sentences. So position of the sentence in the document has to be maximized. Similarity with the title is also maximized. And then anti-redundancy is basically minimized. So anti-redundancy is basically the distance between similarity between two sentences. So if two sentences are similar in nature, then anti-redundancy is basically minimized. So considering these four factors, we computed the sentence score as follows. Sentence score is basically weighted average of these four factors. There are weights alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. So we calculated the weighted average of all the four factors, and that gives the sentence score. And then sentences are basically sorted based on their sentence scores. We sorted them in basically descending order, and sentence which is having the highest score is the most important. So you consider the clusters in the rank-wise manner. Then from each cluster, we select the sentences according to their scores, and those sentences basically form the summary. So now to generate summary, clusters are considered in a rank-wise manner. Given a cluster, top rank sentences are extracted sequentially until summary length reaches to some threshold. So we have used two data sets for the summary generation. One is called the DARK 2001 and DARK 2002. So in DARK 2001, there are 30 topics. In DARK 2002, there are 59 topics. And number of documents in DARK 2001 is 309. Number of documents in DARK 2002 is 567. And then the summary in both the cases is 100. In order to evaluate the quality of the summary, we have used the rules value. Rules is basically the matching, string matching. So it basically matches the string between the goal summary and the opt-in summary. So our algorithm is generating a summary. Basically the strings are basically matched. So whether our opt-in summaries strings are very much similar to the goal summary. So that is the rule score. So n represents the length of the n-gram, and count match n-gram is the maximum number of overlapping n-grams between reference summary and the system summary, and count n-gram is the total number of n-grams in the reference summary. So these are some results. So you can see that we as I mentioned, that we have three versions of our proposed algorithm: multivariate differential evaluation, Gray-Wolf optimization, and the water cycle algorithm. And differential evaluation performs the best in terms of rules 2 for DARK in 2001, but in terms of rules 1, single of the differential evaluation performs the best. But for DARK 2002, in both the cases for rules 2 and rules 1, our multivariate differential evaluation performs the best. These are the examples of some good summary, the actual summary and the predicted summary. You can see in most of the cases there is a match. We have also computed the number of function evaluations. So you can see in most of the cases the number of function evaluations are the lowest for the proposed approach. These are the Parrot optimal surtrons. So you can see that yes, indeed, these documents are having multiple possible summaries. So it is not the case that these documents have only have this single summary, but these documents have multiple possible summaries. Now we will focus on another summarization technique, which is called the figurative summarization. So figurative summarization means summarizing a given figure. So, this work got accepted in SCM transactions for multimedia computing, communications and applications. So what is the task? So, in biomedical documents, in the different biomedical research articles, there are many important figures. If you simply see the figure or the caption, you will not be able to understand the figure. So rather, so can we generate a summary from the sentences present in the document to describe the figure? So this is we developed an unsupervised system for automatic summarization of figures in the biomedical articles. So basically, given the article and given a figure, the sentences which basically describe the figure will be retrieved, and then a summary will be generated. So figures are always difficult to interpret by humans as well as machines. An example is shown here. So by seeing the figure, you will not be able to understand anything. And captions are also are brief. So captions are also limited in size. So by checking the captions also, you will not be able to understand what is the meaning of this particular figure. So according to Fortran, 50% of the text in the biomedical articles are related to the figures only. Therefore, associated text in the article can be used to describe them. So what we did a binary optimization. So out of 100 sentences, we select a few sentences to generate the figure summary. So this is a binary optimization. The length of the solution is equal to number of sentences present in the document. And each position is basically either 0 or 1. Each position represents whether the particular sentence will be in the summary or it will be discarded. So it is a binary representation, 0-1 representation. So we simply considered some sentences and discarded the other sentences. So binary differential evolution framework is used as the underlying optimization strategy. And we again, it is difficult to find the relevant sentences summarizing a figure. And multiple objective functions are simultaneously optimized using the binary differential evolution framework. For language representation, we have used the BioBart. So note that BioBart model already shown its outperformance over the bio-NLP tasks like classification, biomedical name recognition, etc. So BioBart is a biomedical basically embedding representation. So you can give any biomedical entity and it will give you a vector representation of the biomedical entity, preserving the meaning. So basically BioBart is an embedding representation, and we have used the BioBart for generating the embedding of the words in the biomedical document. So basically it provides a, so what are the key factors, the points of the proposed technique? So it provides a set of summaries. End user can select a single summary out of the according to her choice. In binary differential evolution framework, two variants are incorporated for new solution generation: RAND1 bin and current to best bin. First one helps in maintaining diversity among solutions. Second one helps in faster convergence towards global optimum. There are two factors which are selected randomly. There are many objective functions involved. One is the quotient similarity between sentences in the summary. Second is measures the anti-redundancy between sentences of the summary in terms of textual entailment relationships. Third is the number of entailed sentences of the summary to the figure's caption. Fourth is the average quotient similarity between sentences in the ith solution and the figure's caption. So you can understand that first objective is basically the redundancy. Second is also redundancy. Third is the number of entailed sentences of the summary to the figure's caption. So this is basically the coverage. Then the average quotient similarity between sentences in the ith solution and the figure's caption. This has to be maximized. Then counting of the number of sentences present in the ith solution referring to the mth figure by using the keyword figure m. So in how many sentences are referring to the figure, by the word figurehead. And then the counting of the number of 1 gram overlapping words between sentences present in the ith solution and the figures caption. And the number of 2 gram overlapping words between sentences present in the ith solution and the mth figures caption. So there are so many objective functions you can see. Some are of optimization, some are of maximization type, some are of minimization type. So binary differential evolution is basically used to simultaneously optimize these objective functions. So what is textual entailment? So the definition of textual entailment states that a sentence P is said to be entailed by sentence Q if P can be inferred from Q. So a sentence P is said to be entailed by sentence Q if P can be inferred from Q. And this is denoted by Q implies P. Like suppose the text is, if you help the needy, God will reward you. Hypothesis is, giving money to a poor man has good consequences. So this is a basically positive entailment. Now, if the text is, if you help the needy, God will reward you. If the hypothesis is, giving money to a poor man has no consequences, then this is a negative textual entailment. And if your text is, if you help the needy, God will reward you, and the hypothesis is, giving money to a poor man will make you a better person, then this is there is no textual entailment at all. So we have used different models for textual entailment to identify the entailed sentences in the article to figures caption. We have used the pre-trained model available. We have used basically the globe embedding for generating the embedding. And then BioASQ is basically the embedding model. Biomedical, this is basically entailment model in the biomedical domain. So basically BioASQ is a collection of 12, 8, 3, 4, 5, 8, 5 abstracts of scientific articles related to the biomedical domain. And Mimic 3 is again a data set of bioclinical nodes with 320 tokens. So these models are used in our framework. So this is a flow chart. Like input is now the figure and its captions and the sentences of the article. We pre-process the sentences, like we remove the stop words, etc. We initialize the population randomly. The population is nothing but the binary. It is a collection of binary chromosomes. So all the chromosomes are randomly initialized. Then we calculate the objective functions. So I have already shown a set of objective functions. So out of this, a subset is basically selected as for the execution. Then we check whether the generation reaches Gmax or not. Otherwise, we generate new solutions using the genetic operators. We merge the new population and the old population. Then we generate the objective function and values of the new population. Then we merge the two populations together, and we apply the non-dominator sorting and the crowding distance operator on the combined population. Finally, we select a base solution depending on the root score or depending on some ranking. So we have used two data sets. One is the FigSum GS1, which is having 91 figures, and FigSum GS2, which is having 84 figures. And goal summary is available in these data sets. So these are the parameters of the approach. And you can see that we did an ablation study. So the objective functions are varied over a range. So different types of objective functions are used. And you can see that we are different versions of the anti-redundancy are basically measured, and we computed the results. And this is one example that we can see the actual summary is very much similar to the predicted summary. Many sentences are matching between the actual summary and the predicted summary. These are some Parrot-optimal surface. This indeed shows that there are multiple summaries available for a particular figure. Now some error analysis. So sometimes the caption of a figure refers to the caption of some other figure. In that case, our algorithm is not able to identify the proper summarization. The captions of some figures refer to captions of some other figures of the same article. The captions of some figures have only 3 and 2 words, respectively, which are quite insufficient to explain a figure. Now, the third topic is microblog summarization. So microblog summarization is nothing but the summarization of the tweets. So you know, social media platforms are nowadays very common in our day-to-day life, and we often post many things in our social media platforms. So can we somehow generate summary out of from the tweets? Especially during the disaster events, common people stay connected with each other through microblogging sites. Several useful information can be extracted from such tweets, which further help in managing the situation by the government. So basically, you know, tweets are very important, especially during the disaster events. Users often tweet about the disaster event, and then the task is to summarize the tweets to manage the situation well. So extracted tweets from the, basically you can see that it is an extracted summarization. So few tweets from the original document are kept in the summarization. So here the task is that we have the set of tweets. We first classify the tweets into 2 categories, situational and non-situational. So non-situational means some emotion or the tweets where there are no information. And situational means the tweets which convey some information about the event. And then we summarize the non-situational tweets. And that summary is given to the rescue team. So existing summarization algorithms like TextRank is basically used. So this is the thing, the problem statement. So we have the n number of tweets. And now from the n number of tweets, we select a subset in the range of Smin to Smax. So, you know, we select a subset either 0 and 1. So some tweets are selected and some tweets are discarded. If the tweet is selected, then the corresponding BI value would be 1. And if some tweet will not be selected, then the BI value would be 0. And we maximize 3 objective functions, OB1, OB2, and OB3. So Smin and Smax have the minimum and the maximum number of tweets in the summary. And OB1, OB2, OB3 are the objective functions. So again, it is very much similar to a figurative summarization task. We use the binary optimization approach. So either each chromosome is a binary string of zeros and ones. So zeros means that tweets are not selected. Ones means the tweets are selected. And SOM is utilized as a reproduction operator. Means to construct matching pool consisting of solutions, helps in matching and new solution generation. To capture the semantics between 2 tweets, we have used the word buffer distance. And finally, we provide the user a set of summaries, and the user can select a summary depending on his or her need. So these are the objective functions that we have used. One is the anti-redundancy. So this is the similarity between 2 tweets which are in the same summary. So basically we want to maximize this. So the distance between the tweets in the semantic space should be maximized. If Ti and Tj both are part of the summary, then the distance between these tweets in the summary should be maximized. Then maximum TF-IDF score of the tweets, this is also to be maximized. So that TF, basically syntactic similarity, we want to increase the syntactic information present in the tweets. And the length of the tweet is also maximized. We want the tweets which are lengthy in nature. So these 3 objective functions are simultaneously optimized using the search capability of multi-objective differential evolution. So this is the flowchart. We are inputting a set of tweets. Then some pre-processing is done. Population initialization is done and objective functions are calculated. We initialize with G equal to 0. Then we do G less than G max. We apply genetic operators to form new population P dash and calculate the objective functional values. We merge P and P dash, and then best P solutions are selected for the next generation. by using the non-numerator sorting and the crowding distance operators. We update that SOM training data and increment G by 1. So, you know, SOM is used for the genetic operator, self-organizing map is used for the genetic operator. So basically, you know, we update the SOM training data, and then we increment the generation by 1. And finally, when the generation becomes G max, we obtain the set of paradigm solutions, and these all the solutions are given to the user, and user can select a single solution depending on the need. So we have used these 4 data sets: Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in USA, floods in Uttaranchal state of India, typhoon Hangul typhoon, and bomb blast in Hyderabad. These 4 data sets are basically used. You can see that they are published in the year 2012, 2013, 2014, 2007, and they have 2080 number of tweets are there in Sandy Hook, 2069 number of tweets are there in floods in Uttaranchal, 1461 tweets are there in typhoon in Philippines, 1413 number of tweets are there in bomb blast in Hyderabad. And these are the word clouds. So we computed the rho score. So rho score is already discussed. This is the string matching. It basically matches between the strings. So n represents the length of the n-gram. Count match n-gram is the maximum number of overlapping n-grams between reference and the goal summary and system summary. So now, in order to select a single solution from the final paradigm front, we have used two methods. One is a supervised method, and it is the unsupervised method. In the supervised method, we computed the rho score values of all the solutions. So after obtaining the final paradigm front, we have the goal summary. So with respect to the goal summary, we can compute the rho score values. And finally, that particular solution is selected whose rho score is the maximum. So basically that way we are selecting a single solution. In the second case, which is the unsupervised method, here we computed the weighted average of all the objective function values. Here we calculate the weighted average of all the objective functional values, and then we select the solution which is having the maximum weighted average. So these are some results. So we did a ablation study of the objective functions. We basically took different subsets of the objective functions, like OB1 plus OB2, OB1 plus OB3, OB1 plus OB2 plus OB3. So all the possible combinations are selected. And you can see that results are, our method is, when we are using these 3 objective functions, results are the best. And a comparison with SOM-based operator with SOM and without SOM. In this case, the without SOM-based operators are giving the best results. So these are the comparison, like you know that with all the 3 objective functions, with SOM and without SOM. This is about the unsupervised method. This is the comparative method with the existing techniques. So with the existing techniques, our methods are the best. They are providing the highest rho score values compared to the existing techniques. And there are some errors as well. So errors are because 2 tweets having high TF-IDF score values differ by only 1 word, but only one is covered in the goal summary. But in our case, both the tweets are covered. So somehow these 2 tweets have a dissimilarity value of 0.14, and that's why both are covered in the summary. So basically, this type of problems have to be solved in future. So anti-redundancy objective does not help in this situation. To remove this drawback in future, we would like to use some other sophisticated word embedding like BART. And we would also like to incorporate the emotion into the system. So in order to classify the tweets into situational and non-situational, we would like to use the information or emotion information. So in conclusion, so we have proposed some summarization techniques for document summarization, microblock summarization, and figure summarization. And you know, in microblocks, so you know, we all the problems are solved using multi-object optimization. And finally, we provide users a set of paraoptimal solutions, and user can select a single solution from the final paraoptimal surface. And now in future, we would like to work on the microblock, multimodal microblock summarization, because tweets not only contain text but as well as images. So can we use the image information as well for generating a summary? Similarly, the tweets are keep on coming. So tweet is not a static object, but tweets are keep on coming. So can we change our summary to accommodate this dynamic flow of tweets? So that is called the online microblog summarization. So these are some papers, publications out of my work. And thank you. So if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Yes, ma'am, thank you very much. Again, very nice talk and very informative this one. Ma'am, I have one question, then I will go for the participant. Suppose, ma'am, I want to develop one, take some this summarization data set. So how, from where I will start and where I have to release that one?
So text summarization data set, see, we have to collect some, like you suppose you want to generate the summarization for the news articles. Then from different newspapers, you can collect the data. So suppose some incident has happened, some accident has happened. So you can collect the news of different newspapers on the same event. And then that would be your input data. And
Yes.
now manually you have to ask some person to generate the summary. So the person will go through all the documents and then will write the summary in his or her way. So that way you can generate the data set.
Then it will be very difficult.
Yeah, it is very time consuming. Yeah, it's very time consuming. It's very time consuming and labor intensive. Basically, you need manpower, you need time. So it's generating goal standard data set is very difficult in summarization. It takes much time.
Yes,
So
and again for the low resource language again
yeah, it is more difficult. In the low resource language, there is no data set exist.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's very difficult to generate data set like that. And then once you have a data set, you can publish a paper out of that. And then the paper you can put the data in your web page so that people can easily access the data.
Okay. So anybody having any queries? Now open to participants.
Ma'am, I have a query.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, ma'am, just now you talked about tweets. Ma'am, can you suggest any other, simple method through which I can collect tweets of last 1 year other than Python and R, other than using programming language? Because sometimes programming language seems tough for me because I'm learning the thing. But other than easier, any other method through which I can download, extract all the tweets? Like I work in software like MaxQDA, and there I just can download for only 7 days. So I need for 1 year. So any other tools you can suggest, ma'am?
No, I think those APIs are available, but the APIs work only in Python. So
Yeah,
my students are collecting the data using Twitter API only, and they are using
Okay.
Python only. So I am not aware of any other platform because Twitter is, so they are comfortable with Twitter and using the
Yes.
API, they are downloading the tweets from using the Python script only.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Any query from anybody having any query? Participants, you can. Yes, yes, Rajati, want to ask something? I think, ma'am, no query is there. And let me check the chat box if is there any query. Okay, ma'am. So no query is there, ma'am. Once again, thank you, and definitely in the next session, your student Dr. Naveen Saini will give us the hands-on on the same topic. So at that time, I think if anybody having any doubt at that time, also you can ask, and it will be clear when he is going to give some hands-on on that one.
Sure.
I think let me check some queries are there in. Yes, Payal ma'am has already given, already asked the query. So no query is there. Okay, ma'am. Once again, thank you to you. And so, if possible, ma'am, you can also join at 3 o'clock if you have time.
I don't know. I will see, but I think Munabir will be able to handle. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes, sure. Thank you for
Thank you
giving me
very
this
much.
chance. Yeah, it was a very nice
Thank you.
experience. Yeah, thank you. Bye.